Yes.
Yes.
What's the flavor or the thing that you're most excited about with this one?
This is a completely new one. It's a grand experiment on the Earth One ship, which is this, it's a paradox. It's a floating paradox, but it will have 250 to 300 incredible people, from billionaires like Guy Lebeté, Elon Musk's brother, Kimball Musk, who does Big Green, and various people, major players in the world. And it will have at least 100 fellows, people at the front lines of climate solutions. And it's happening during the elections. So it starts in Lisbon, which is, an important symbolic place to begin the journey. And we sail to the Azores. And in the Azores, we have an amazing day with natural hot springs. And then we get back on the ship, and we begin to sail across the Atlantic. And at that point, we begin with Time Day, where we can invite up to 48 people on the boat to come and go through a 6-day journey together. And so it's a special one because it's adapted for the boat. And so each day of the journey across the Atlantic to Puerto Rico will be themed around the elements, as we do with every up game. So Monday is Water Day, and it's a day created based on the future vision of the water team. And the water team, if you like, are a cast of characters, so Jedis, creatives, people that are at the front lines of what they're doing and imagining the future that is a civilization upgrade, that is the more beautiful future our hearts know is possible. And each team creates an immersive experience of their vision realized. So in that vision, here now. So we start from there. We start from where we wish to be. And by being in a team sport and creating that, we're enchanting ourselves with both life and the mission and our collective devotion. But we're also getting into a harmonic flow with each other, where we're actually learning what was it that enabled us to realize our potential in that state. And we're getting into a field that is so intelligent because it's the collective intention of every Gaian participant, creating the experience real time in an emergent sense for each other. And so we're going to go on a journey, a quest, if you like, to tell the greatest story never yet told. And we call that story Earthship. We're traveling across the Atlantic on Earth One, and the story we're telling is Earthship. And Earthship will take us on a journey into the water team. We'll tell a story of community abundance, of the wealthy commons. How do we reimagine the planetary commons? How do we design every aspect of our life for regenerative living? So our relationships to place and our connection to Gaia herself in community, where we mirror our relationship with the natural world in our relationship with each other. So we really go deep into what is the future frequency and codes and intelligence of our common unity. And so that's on Monday. That's every Monday in the up game is Water Day. Tuesday is Fire Day. And so the fire team creates a immersive experience of transformation. And every fractal of transformation, the fire element represents transformation. And so it's the transformation of one's spirit, of one's relationship to our future vision, our relationship to our future self. It's the transformation of our relationships, our connection to our communities, our connection to families, our connection to sexuality, gender, our connection to peace. And where does peace begin? It's the transformation of society, of civilization. So the fire team have Gaian goals, just like every other team. And the Gaian goals are gender harmony. Like, how did we fully connect and connect with our fullest sense of our own divine feminine and divine masculine, like our fullest expression of our gender, and that balance in, if you like, in a fractal nature of a mirror to how we see that in the natural world as well. And then it's peace and justice. So it's every team, and we've had now 25 games here. Every team is telling the story of planetary peace. How do we end war? How do we eradicate violence? How do we make it intolerable that 0.1% of us would take us to war when the majority want peace? That it was industrial money machine that made no sense for our security. Violence begets violence. And so we're a more evolved civilization here. And so we've eradicated war. And we celebrate peace. And that's great fun. We did this here in New York. We celebrated planetary peace with 24 hours notice. And 850 people saw the Gaian bat signal in Gotham City and came and celebrated planetary peace on International Day of Peace here. Which was pretty cool. It was amazing. It's like, but so fire, it's transformation of societal transformation, all aspects of our society. How did we think about not linear improvements in our society, but how do we think about transformative, that they were the quantum jumps that were designed to really be the best we can be, like reach our fullest potential. And it's circular economies, that there is no such thing as waste in the Gaia language. It's fully circular, in every aspect, a full fractal circular, you know. And so that's what the Fire team creates, if you like, a mythology for the Fire League, which is a sum total of all of the projects ever told and all of the stories ever told by all of the Fire Gaians. And so then we have today, which is Air Day, and I'm an Air Gaian. I've been on every Air team of every game. So this is my 25th Air Day. And we're on a Gaian Airstream going through New York because you called in Burning Man. It's your fault. So the Air Gaians, if you like, represent and celebrate the realization of our potential. That we really, if you like, tapped into our fullest creator potential. That we bridged the gap between our imagination and our reality. That's what our collective potential looks like. So it's way beyond anyone can currently conceive of. But it's that place that we can feel. And when our heartbeats synchronize, and when our visions synchronize, and when we begin to accelerate that which we're here to do, we feel that. And that's what the Gaians celebrate. We have the Gaian language, which is it's like an upgrade on Esperanto, which was a 3-dimensional language. But what if we were to create a 5-dimensional language, and maybe more in the future, where we can communicate with every species on Earth? We can communicate with DNA. We can communicate with each other, like the babblefish, you know, in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And in doing so, we can communicate both our senses. So as I'm speaking to you, you could be feeling everything that I'm feeling, or everything that you're feeling, or everything that you're sensing, or our telepathy is something that we can actually learn to practice as a language, like our ability to remember the future and listen to our intuition. And remember when we hear a story of the future, remember in our intuition that fits with my world feeling to be true. And if we train ourselves in those places where we can hear each other speak truth from the future and remember it to be true, then we can support each other, because we realize what is each of our devotion, each of our mission to go forth with, you know. So the Air team, the realization of our potential. And we story health and well-being. So how do we create planetary health and well-being? Not only, you know, focusing the money drain on the sick care system that we had, which was, frankly ludicrous, into designing a planetary, all life, like all species, all living beings, health and well-being design system that AI enables us to go achieve. And so that's one part. The next part is realizing our potential through what was the transformation of education. How do we become lifelong learners, holding each other accountable to reach our fullest potential all throughout the planet? That this is the great mission to gamify every aspect of the transformation of our world. And if you're on the team, this is the honor of your life to reverse engineer the future. And so the Air team celebrates nutritious food. That, of course, we didn't get to our potential without completely redesigning our planetary food system. And so it's bioregional, it's local, it's organic. We've eradicated the pesticides and the chemicals that we were putting in our food because they were going into our minds and they were going into our spirits. And so we celebrate that. We celebrate food. It's an amazing day. We celebrate societal thriving. That everybody is, we're designing not for left and right, Republican and Democrat, all these silly things that we would organize ourselves in such a limited fashion through our nation states. That when we realized that we could design our world from the grassroots right to the planetary in a way that was utilizing our best talents and designing for everyone to win, not some people to win. Not a win-lose finite game, which unfortunately in the age of exponential technology becomes a lose-lose game really quickly and like way too fast. And so this was a time intervention, like a planetary handbrake turn, that coming from the future that says there's a simple truth here, which is rather than starting in the present moment of the meta crisis of being conquered by dystopia in an epidemic of incrementalism, in a plague of apathy, rather than starting in that fear-based, distrustful starting space of that crisis, being like, we're running out of time. How do we make time our friend? That we step out of the rapids in the white water flowing down the river. We step outside of that moment. We step into the future that we can imagine. And from that place, we have time on our side, and we can now train the Gaia AI with all of the stories ever told by all of the teams to then go and say, we need a civilization design assistant because we need a planetary upgrade. So how did Gaia, trained with 3.8 billion years of evolution of every single species on planet Earth, the Gaia AI, the way we do this is we train our augmented intelligence with the best of us to design under honor-bound oath, design thriving futures for all of us. And that, if you like, that aspect of it is the Air Gaians. That's part of our legacy is the Gaia language, the Gaia AI. And so this is in the Air League. And then, of course, there's the Earth Gaians. And obviously they're an essential part of this, Captain Planet medicine wheel. And the Earth Gaians, are really all about planetary regeneration. So they celebrate planetary health. How do we design for the thriving of our natural world? Living within our planetary boundaries, of course. I mean, the idea that we would think, we were so immature as a civilization in the 2020s. And so the design, of course, starting from that place, but recognizing that needs to go hyper-local, and it's in our relationship to land, so land stewardship and how we connected with the land, and we have changed our relationship to ownership of the land. It's we're stewards, and we're here in an intergenerational sense that we bring in the seventh generation, both directions. So going back to our ancestors, 7 generations, and going forward to our descendants, because in the quantum time of the deep now, you are able to communicate both directions. So you can channel the wisdom of your ancestors in the exact same fashion. It's the same language. One's the reverse gear, one's the forward gear. But in fact, it's all the same place to our descendants. And so guiding what can our descendants teach us about land stewardship, about ocean stewardship, about our relationship to the waters, to the blue planet, and to how we live and care for our waters, rather than pollute with plastics. It was ludicrous, the way we were treating our sacred, living, sentient planet that is constantly guiding us and constantly providing feedback loops into how we design this. And, the best part is the thing that was really hiding in plain sight was money. It was this irony that in the 2020s, so many people dedicated their lives to money. But it was actually doing a quantum jump on money, introducing a new dimensional aspect to money and programming money with time, that we were able to convert from dollars to stars. And through those stars, they would use the Gaian AI to go and deliver on exactly the vision that Gaian had, or that Gaian team, that upgrade, that mission. And so the AI enabled us, through our augmented intelligence, enabled us to quite literally reverse engineer the future. To start from the horizon point with time on our side in the river and float down, financing every step along the way to go and deliver on the planetary outcome. And so it was really that simple, that actually taking $6 trillion by 2030 and moving it into star bonds, which are a new form of futures, if you like, that will accelerate our turning of the ship into this Earth ship, into the story that we will tell aboard the ship. So how do we steer the ship, and how do we move trillions into financing the more beautiful future our hearts know is possible? And so that's the Earth team takes us home, if you like, and tells the story of the energy transition, tells the story of how we created ubiquitous energy, and it's completely transformed our relationship to energy itself. And then of course it's the regeneration of the planet and our relationship to Pachamama. And so the Earth Gaians, it's everyone's favorite day because it's our connection to our shared mother. And so we deeply connect with our natural world on Earth Day, and it's a visceral experience. So it's like, it, you can't unsee it. And so you have this collective, shared, transformative experience that in the process we are telling the greatest story never told. We're filming the greatest story never yet told. And we're using the filming of those stories, the infinite story, in order to train the Gaia AI to go and say, let's make the story true. Let's turn reality into a game where we can write the script. We can quite literally story into reality. And so then we finish with Ether Day. And Ether Day is kind of like the Captain Planet Day. It's like all the elements coming together in unification. And so the water team creates a closing immersion to bring us into that celebration of the element of water. And what did we learn? What was our story to tell? What is our symphony, if you like? What is our art piece that is an expression of our collective dream as the water Gaians that went through this rite of passage together? And then the fire team creates a close on transformation, air team on potential, earth team on planet. And then we have a closing ceremony to birth ourselves back into time, to be sovereign over time. So that's the journey, and it's It is, how are we? Should we check?
There's a lot of people coming.
You were